baseball. I mean, the Padres are just driving me crazy. I mean, just they lose, they just start winning again, and then they lose again. I mean, are we going to get any momentum here?
I don't know. They're headed into New York. They play the Yankees in a weekend series. The Padres just have shown no consistency. You know, you look at the statistics. Left hand says $253 million payroll, Fab Four on the roster, loaded veteran pitchers who starred last year. And then you see them ranked 25th hitting the ball, absolutely dead last with runners in scoring position. The inability to score runs, been shut out 6 times this season. I think they've had 12 games already that they've had 2 runs or less. And how about this stat? Going into this game in Washington, in their last 3 outings, they were 1 for 31. 1 for 31 with guys in scoring position. They just don't hit. Am I pushing a panic button? No, not yet. Still a lot of baseball to be played. But I caution you, as we go to Memorial Day weekend, pal, they're 8 back right now. If this thing gets to 10 or 12 or 15 behind, I don't think they can make that up in the second half of the season. These guys have got to start to hit. And, of course, Hacksaw Kim went down with what looked like a really scary knee injury when he got nailed by a foul ball in the Washington game on Thursday. So Padres are just not a complete team right now. I'm going to ask some questions, and I'll let you, from left field, rooting with your heart, but you should be doing this podcast with your head. They have a black hole at behind home plate.
Yes.
Blackest of holes. Can't hit, can't throw guys out on the bases. Mm-hmm. I was thinking about this last night, and I decided to go back and took a little research. Since AJ Preller took over as general manager, they've moved an awful lot of players. He may lead the major leagues. He may be in first place in the major leagues in trades.
Oh, yeah.
And player deals. Guys going everywhere. I swear to you, John, if you look at box scores every night, you'll see Padre guys all over the major leagues, and some of them are having pretty good seasons, while this team is almost in last place, which is really hard to believe with a $253 million payroll. The Padres have had these guys as catchers. Austin Hedges, former first-round draft pick, really good glove guy, hot and cold as a hitter. They moved him to Cleveland. Luis Torrens, do you remember him? They traded for him, and they thought, this guy's going to be the future. Guy's in Seattle, then he went to Baltimore. He's been all over the parking lot. He didn't pan out. They rented Derek Norris, who came from the A's. Feisty guy behind home plate, could hit a little bit, hit with some power, but he was here today, gone tomorrow. Lasted, 2/3 of a season. You do remember the trade that was going to solve all the problems behind home plate when they traded Cal Quantrill and others and got Francisco Mejia. Last I heard, he's hitting home runs down in Tampa Bay. And then Victor Caratini, refugee, Cubs, hit with a little bit of power. Everybody seemed to like him. He's in Milwaukee, hitting with a little power, catching a lot for the Brewers. So I asked the question, the Padres ran through all these guys, and they lose Luis Campusano with the thumb surgery, nowhere's near being able to play. They got, a 4A guy, Brett Sullivan, doing as good as he can, not hitting behind home plate. Nola has completely lost his ability to swing with a stick. They had Pedro Severino, whom they signed from the Orioles. Guy had been in the majors for an extended period of time. Had some success in Milwaukee. Was hitting 286 at El Paso. Why would you not bring him up when the other guys are zeros behind home plate, either throwing guys out, whatever? Never considered bringing back Jorge Alfaro, who obviously has gone on to other places. That was a real strange deal for me. The other thing, they're kind of wafer thin in the bullpen with long relief. Julio Teheran opted out finally in El Paso and has just signed in Milwaukee to be one of their starters. Milwaukee's got 5 starting pitchers on the injured list. Why would you not call up Severino, not call up Teheran? I mean, granted, you'd have to make moves to get him onto the 40-man roster. Why would you not do that, especially when Severino is hitting 286 in AAA ball, and he's kind of a vested veteran? So they've moved an awful lot of catchers out of here. I don't know, they should have moved all those guys, and then they had guys who were producing in the minors and haven't brought them up. Your turn.
My turn. I mean, there's a lot going on here. Well, first of all, Xander Bogaerts got a hit with runners in scoring position today.
Finally.
Yeah, hallelujah. So the Padres, I think last I checked, were winning 5-1. But but to talk about the catchers, it's a motley crew that you got there. When I remember Derek Norris reminded me of Gimli, the dwarf on Lord of the Rings. He was a character, and he was good for maybe a year or two, and then he fell off the table. I think these guys, they just get beat up a lot back there. Austin Hedges never had a stick, and he would show glimmers of it, and then it would go away. Nola, though, I thought we had a catcher that can hit. I mean, when we traded for him, we gave up a lot to get him with the Mariners, and he's come here and he's hitting over 100 points less than what he hit in Seattle with virtually no power. It's really frustrating. But I think if you're AJ Preller, you figured you had Nola as your starting guy that you were hoping was going to be better, and you had Campusano as the young gun, and both of those guys have kind of blown up for different reasons. And yeah, it would have been nice to have Severino come up. I'm surprised they didn't bring him up, but right now it is a black hole behind the plate.
And I think the other thing is, in the big picture, they have the 16-year-old kid still in Peoria, Ethan Salas, the bonus baby, but that's 3 years away. At least that might be 4 years away. So, I mean, you can't sit here and sales pitch me, we've got a great young catcher on the way, but that's way down the road. The only thing that counts is this year. One thing counts is this year and next year, because if you don't get it done, you're going to have so much age and you have such a commitment to all those guys contractually, and you got a lot of age on the pitching staff. This team has to win, has to turn the corner this year, and if not this year, it has to be next year. And they have nothing in the farm system at the upper echelons right now.
Well,
so
don't you think, though, that if all the other guys were hitting, if Cronenworth was hitting 280 or up and Machado was hitting, we wouldn't care that Austin Nola was not doing all that great. I mean, if Grisham had a home run today, but he's still below 200 as well. So if everybody's doing their job, you can afford to have a weak hitting, good defensive catcher like Nola.
But half their batting order is weak hitting right now.
Exactly.
Jeez.
Exactly.
So I'm just second guessing the general manager right now. The general manager's team right now is about a game and a half out of last place. With a $253 million payroll. I'm sorry. I'm not beating him up. I'm just presenting the facts as they are. Okay, let's move